What's up, Western Iowa Tech students? This is another one with Kendra Bergenske, Director of Arts and Sciences for Western Iowa Tech Community College. I believe she has some good news for students that are trying to transfer to a four-year college, of course, from Western Iowa Tech Community College. What's up, Kendra? How you doing?
Hi, Mike. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. This light is bugging me. I'm sure you can see it. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, it looks like a angel light from heaven is shining down on you. So.
I don't know if that's it, right? But no, anyway. So Kendra, so Kendra, we've talked a little bit, and you totally surprised me when you told us that we have some transfer information for students looking to transfer to a four-year college. I'm excited about that because I used to work in the TRIO program, and that's mainly what we did. And it wasn't difficult, but the students had no options, right? It was your arts and sciences. You'll decide what you're going to do when you get there, right? And it was just hard. It was just hard. But anyway, we got some good news. I'm going to hand it over to Kendra. I heard you had a PowerPoint.
Well, I am a teacher. You know, what kind of teacher would I be if I did not have a PowerPoint?
Amen.
I actually created the PowerPoint specifically for the students and potential students that are watching this video. So then if you have a program that strikes your interest, you can pause the video and write down the email addresses of the people that you would need to contact about that.
And that wasn't me. That was Kendra's idea, right? That wasn't me. I wouldn't have thought about that.
Well, you know, I try. So I want to just talk to everybody out there today about what it means to be a transfer student, to be an arts and science student at Western Iowa Tech. You know, we do have all of these career and technical programs, and they're great, and they do great things for our community. And if you know that that's what you want to do, that's a great option to jump right into. Not everybody knows exactly where they want to go and what they want to be, and that's okay too. The last time we talked about that, you know, part of being young or changing your career or wherever you are in your life is that it's kind of okay to not know for sure what you want to do. And that's what we do in arts and science, is that you take classes from different, and you start to figure out where you want to go and what that means for you. You know, we have always had the ability to transfer, right? Our general education, our associates of arts and science really transfers to almost anywhere, certainly locally. And actually, I had a student a couple of years ago that transferred to a school in Boston, and they took all of the credits from here. So yeah, we have students going to all kinds of different schools all over the country. So I think that's really exciting news for students. That basic general education idea is really what you are when you don't know yet. You know, if you're a student who isn't sure what you want to do, you're probably going to be under the major of that general education degree because you're going to try to figure that out. Sometimes students go under this degree because they know they're going to a specific place, and that school has told them exactly what to take. Right. And so it's always better, the sooner you know where you want to transfer, the better off you're going to be, because then you can work with your advisor at WIT and your advisor at that transfer school to make sure that you're taking exactly what they need you to take. Okay. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Okay. And so, for example, could take, let's say that you took History 110, which is Western Civilization, and the school that you go to wants you to take U.S. history. They're still going to take your history, your Western Civ class. It'll be electives, and you'll have to take another history class. So if you already know what they want from you, you can take to fit what their ask is. You're not going to lose any credits, but you just might have to take an extra class in that area. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's worth it, by the way, if that's what you're wanting, is a bachelor's degree.
Right.
You know,
so
I was going to make a comment. It's like, you know, even from what you're talking, this is, you know, the students had no choice, just like you said. They were just going to be a general studies degree, or, you know, and then they transferred. I just think this is awesome. And I think I've been here, I kind of see the transformation of what has happened. And I think it's in the O2 community colleges where four-year schools are reaching out to us, right, and wanting our students, right, which kills that stereotype that we are like grade 13 or whatever. You know, students at Western Iowa
Yeah.
Tech are legitimate students that perform well on their tests, CPT test, ACT test. They just come to our school to save a little bit of money while they're doing it, right? I just wanted
Yep.
to say that.
Well, yeah, there could be any number of reasons why students choose to not go away to college somewhere right away.
Right.
And it might be financial, but it could be a lot of reasons, family reasons,
Right.
who knows? And so I think over the years, there has been a fair amount of sort of this idea that arts and science at a community college is not like a real college.
Right.
And it's so totally false. You know, I taught
Well,
at the University of South Dakota before I came to Western Iowa Tech, and the public speaking class that I teach right now is the exact same course I taught there.
facts.
Institutions would not accept these credits if they were not the same. They wouldn't.
Right. Right.
So I think that's really important to remember. You know, we have always transferred to a lot of colleges. Yes, we transferred to Iowa, Iowa State, and University of Northern Iowa, but really these are the other schools that we work with all the time, right? Morningside, Briarcliff, Bellevue, Buena Vista, Wayne State, even the University of South Dakota, now that they offer in-state tuition to Iowa students. There's a lot of our students now who start here and just go 30 miles up the road to Vermilion to finish out their bachelor's.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's really great. And so I think that you kind of need to realize that if you're transferring without a specific major, totally fine. You can land in any program anywhere that's going to take all of our credits. That's not going to be an issue. But maybe you do have a specific area in mind. There's a lot of times when I talk with a student and they're like, well, I kind of am really interested in psychology, like that. We can actually do majors now for those things. We used to just be able to award that general education degree, but now we get to award transfer majors. And so this is a brand new thing that the state approved. So all across the state this whole school year, all 15 of Iowa's community colleges have gotten together with representatives from Iowa, Iowa State, and the University of Northern Iowa, and we sat in a room and had agreement as to what this transfer major looks like, who needs to take what classes, and where you can transfer to. They were kind of crazy meetings, as you might imagine. Wow. But through this year, we got 18 specific transfer majors approved, and there'll be more coming next year.
18?
18. So you can be that gen ed student, and that's totally fine. But maybe there are some of these majors that you actually do want to choose and head in that direction. So I have them all listed out. And again, with the teacher and the advisor at Western Iowa Tech, so that if you are interested in any of these transfer majors, you can just pause the video and write that down,
and write it down
so that you can contact those people.
Wow, that's incredible. Let's get to it. That's incredible.
Okay. All right. So first, we now have some agriculture transfer majors. So there are 3 specific ones that are agronomy, agriculture business, and agriculture education. Obviously, these are going to go to Iowa State. That's our big ag school, right? Clearly, those are going to go to Iowa State.
Go Cyclones.
Right. There you go. So there are those sort of 3 specific agriculture. And they are very different because the agronomy is about the actual like study of crop growing, right? Okay. Where business is a whole different part of agriculture. And then of course, agriculture education has to do with the science of it. So the education part, there's some chemistry, some biology, some things like that, where that isn't true of like the business part of the agriculture track. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay, I tend to say that a lot. I'm going to try not to say, does that make sense?
And
my students will tell you that I say that a lot.
No, it's okay, because they probably, you just want to make sure they know. And students, if you're watching this, you can just make a comment in the comments below, and we will check that, and we will get you that answer, or get you to the right person that can answer that. So if you don't know and we don't address it, please leave in the comments below, and we'll get back at you.
Absolutely. Ag. So we've got a lot of those. We're in a great place to do that, right? We live in Iowa.
Right.
Want crops, then Iowa, right?
Right.
We have education. And so this specific education one is about early childhood education. So this would be like tiny kids up to like preschool, kindergarten, where they go into the K-12 system, right? So this early childhood, and it might be a little bit higher than that too. I'm not an expert in that. Jennifer Weber is. She's your person to talk to about
Okay,
that.
okay.
The early childhood education licensure goes specifically to the University of Northern Iowa.
Okay.
All right.
You and I.
So this is that early part of education. The other part of education is elementary and secondary education. So elementary school and then middle school, high school, right? These are going to go to all three of those Regent universities, Iowa, Iowa State, and UNI. Jennifer Weber is also the faculty person for that. And really, these are going to, I know that they're labeled to go to Iowa, Iowa State, and UNI. Morningside's going to take them.
Right.
USD is going to take them. Just because this agreement was hammered out with just those schools, that's just a state level agreement.
Right. And so would other colleges, right, from other states.
Yep. You know, none of us are out here on an island doing things all alone. Other colleges all across the country are doing the same thing. So the odds are very good that if I was going to accept it, so's Missouri and so's Kansas and those kinds of things. So you just kind of have to pay attention. That's why you want to really work with an advisor from that institution as soon as you know where you want to go.
Right.
Whether it's in our state or somewhere else, the sooner you know, the easier it is for you to make sure that you're working the right path.
Right.
So we have ag, we have education, we have business.
Okay.
Right. So your advertising, marketing, entrepreneurship, all of those business kinds of things. Sandra Mueller is our business instructor. So she's
Sandra,
for that. Notice Susan Grau is on almost every one of these.
What's up, Susan?
Susan is sort of our transfer specialist for all those people looking to transfer. So she's kind of the main person in all of that.
She will take care of you.
Yep. Biology. Right. So biology is a good track to take if you're a science introvert. If you think that you may run in the world of maybe something STEM related, health field related, research related, these are those kinds of fields. Susan McDonald does a lot of like anatomy and physiology, that kind of stuff. Greg Romig is much more of the true biologist, plants and bugs and living things.
Right.
And Frank O'Neill does a lot of microbiology. He works with a lot of our nursing students. He also does anatomy and physiology, that kind of science, and sports medicine.
Sports medicine, okay.
Yep, so that biology area kind of fits into all of those things.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
Right after biology, we have to go to chemistry, because that's a whole nother world. You don't want me in a chem lab. Probably blow something up. Renee Romig is the faculty person for that. So chemistry is, of course, a very specific science field. There's a lot of places where chemistry can take you. Chemical engineering.
Yeah.
For example, so if you want to go be an engineer, chemical engineer, you could take a chemistry transfer major here, go to Iowa State, and finish out that chemical engineering degree.
Wow. Isn't Renee and Greg doctors?
They are doctors.
They're both doctors. Okay, right. Yep. Okay.
We always talk about how, as a married couple teaching at the same place, both teaching in the hard sciences, I think they probably have some very interesting conversations.
Right, I bet.
In their house. Yep. Chemistry people are also lab people, right? In hospitals and places like that, there's a lot of chemistry. Pharmacy, if you're thinking maybe pharmacy school down the road, chemistry is a huge part of that, right? So Renee's your person, and Susan, math, not for me.
No, me neither.
For the rest of you. Of course, these are going to go to all three of those Regent schools too. That whole math, science, STEM field is so interrelated that you're always going to need a lot of math with a lot of science, right?
Right.
And so when you think about and kinds of professions, that this whole math and science thing is really important to that.
Amen.
Criminal justice is going to be a new one. We do have, of course, our police science programs,
Right,
which we've had
right.
for a long time, but there's a difference between being a law enforcement officer or working in corrections and criminal
Criminal
justice.
justice, right.
Right. So criminal justice is maybe more for somebody who doesn't actually want to be a police officer, doesn't want to work in a jail, doesn't want to be a probation officer, but might be interested in law school someday,
Cool. Right.
who might have an interest in maybe social work, working with rehabilitation of prisoners, things like that.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Right. So if you're sort of in the realm of, you think you might want to work in law enforcement, but you're not very keen on doing that actual in the car patrol, making arrests kind of thing, a criminal justice degree might be something that interests you. What do you think, Mike?
I'm just tripping off, that there's so many options. I mean, we only had one option, right? It was only one option, and when, if someone asks you where you going to school at, usually Western Iowa Tech students would say, well, go to Western Iowa Tech, I'm a transfer student. Now they can say what their major is, or at least have that option. And you guys, that's big.
You're a criminal justice major at Western
Yeah.
Iowa Tech. You're a chemistry major at Western Iowa Tech.
That's big.
That's really awesome that we can do that now. Communication, that would be me.
Right.
Right. Communication studies degree spends a lot of time, of course, some of it in public address, but in interpersonal, intercultural, men, women, like all kinds of ways that we communicate. So it's a great major or minor. Like if you were a business major and a communication minor, you'd be set up really well to work really internationally if you wanted to, anywhere really. So communication studies, that's my field. Come on over. It's not so bad, I promise.
Right.
This particular English major at this time only goes to Iowa State. We're still working on what the other Iowa and UNI would need from us in order to take it. Beth Wolf is specifically on our Denison campus, so students there could reach out to Beth. Teresa Jackson and Chuck Polk, who you had on the other day, talking about Project Siouxland, really help you with English. Chuck also does a lot of literature, humanities, those
Colorful
kinds of
dude,
things.
man. Colorful.
Yeah,
dude.
he's a super interesting person.
Yeah.
English majors are great, and there's no business in the world that doesn't need people who can communicate effectively.
Right.
There's no business in the world that doesn't need people to proofread and write and be able to do that well. And so I think English is another great major that can put you into a lot of places, and also into specific industries like publishing. Right? Like that's my dream job, to go work at a publishing company, and what I do is read novels and tell people how good they are.
It's crazy.
I could do that all the time, right? English is a pretty important one. Fine arts, that would be your music, art, painting, all of that. Michael Rolina would be your faculty type contact for that. Drama, theater, all those kinds of things. Would be the fine arts. History would be a great transfer major for somebody who's interested in, working in, let's say, museums or public places of interest like that. I have a cousin who has a master's degree in library science. Did you know that that's a thing?
Yeah, you know what? I did know that just through knowing Sharon at work. Yeah, right.
But she's a history minor.
That's
so cool. Or a history major as an undergrad. So part of that whole research, understanding, human beings and how we impact the world and time, that's what history does for us. I'm currently the contact for that, as well as for political science. Political science would be a great major for anybody who's interested in politics, who wants to serve in some kind of elective office maybe at some point.
Right.
Political science is not just about
history,
our current political situation.
Yeah.
It's about international relations. It's about understanding how the world works we all impact each other. And so political science is part of that. Political science is a viable transfer major for people who want to go to law school maybe.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
certainly people who are interested in serving the public in communities and how they evolve and things like that.
that's just crazy.
Psychology, of course. The world's always going to need mental health specialists, so psychology is a part of that. And we do have an addictions counseling program that transfers specifically to the University of South Dakota. Rhonda Briggs, Dr. Rhonda Briggs would be your contact for this. Psychology is about the brain, how it works, mental illnesses, how our brains operate and how they impact our lives and the people around us. People always say that psych, soc are the same, and they're really not.
No, right.
Right? So a
Yeah,
psychology major would put you on the pathway, maybe someday to be working as a therapist if that's what you're interested in, but that's a very long academic path.
yeah,
There are helping professions where you can be a 2-year licensed addictions counseling
person.
person, or do the 2 years here, finish out that degree at the University of South Dakota, and you have some credentials that can really serve you very well and go right into making an income. Whereas if you wanted to be, for example, a psychologist, you're looking at a master's degree
Master's degree.
at minimum.
Yeah,
And so that track allows you to kind of figure that out as you go.
that's my undergrad is psychology. Hey,
Yeah.
Kendra, so check this out. It just hit me my 3-minute warning, right?
Oh,
That,
no.
so of course this is free, you guys, as far as us not having to pay for the time. But here, I just want to make a point. When we talked about a transfer student not too long ago, it could a 3-minute conversation. You just get in arts and sciences, that's it, no more. But we've talked for like 30 minutes on all these awesome things that if you are in that field, you know that this is a win. This
Right.
is definitely a win for our students.
I don't want to leave out sociology and social work.
Okay, let me be
Those
quiet.
are pretty important ones.
Amen.
And I'm going to put up this last one while we finish out here, because you can look at all of these program requirements by going to witcc.edu/programs. And you can email me or Seema or Christina Brandon, who's our Associate Dean of Recruitment, that we can get you in contact with anybody. You're
Right.
interested, we can get you literature, we can get you in contact with anybody you need.
Wow, that's just crazy. It's just opened up a whole slew, if that's a word, of things that students can kind of do and they can buy into. This is just awesome. I think this is awesome.
It's really exciting.
Well, you know what, Kendra, I know we'll probably end up interviewing you again, and maybe we can get more into detail on maybe specific programs or something like that. I hope students are watching this, and even if you're not a WIT student, you're thinking about wanting to go to school, this is really good. So anyway, we're going to have to get off now. And, Kendra, I appreciate what you do for the students. Stay safe.
Anytime.
Right. And and I know that. So
Yep.
have a good day. And have a good day. Nice chatting with you.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.